Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all of my baggage droppers around the world, welcome to another episode of the Drop Your Baggage podcast, where we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope, and show you a technique that can help you cope. I'm your host, the self-talk engineer, Charles Woolfork. And if you are here, right now, listening to this or watching this, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. And if you're on a podcast platform, give a brother 5 stars and some feedback as well. Now, right now, I have an awesome guest that is very close to my heart because he lives on the same island as me on the island of Kauai. We have Dr. Addison Bulosan. Now, Dr. Bulosan, like I said, is from Kauai, Hawaii, born and raised, y'all. And after he graduated, he developed migraines, and he only got better after he went to the chiropractor and got some chiropractic care. And he's like, yo, this is such a blessing that I have to become a chiropractor myself. So he's got his doctorate in chiropractic and specializes in upper neck care. And now he has multiple locations where he is being a blessing to so many people with his clinic called the Specific Chiropractic Clinic, the one that he has in Maui, and he also has one in Kauai as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Dr. Addison Bulosan. What's up?
What's up, everybody? Man, so exciting to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me on. So pumped to be with you and all the people that listen. Aloha, everybody.
Hey, Brad. So like, man, you have just been all about serving ever since, like, I've learned about you. I even found out about you because you were running for county council. So, I mean, it's always been in your heart. So please, like, tell everybody about you and tell everybody your story,
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to have been born and raised here on Kauai, and my family and my friends, we've been surrounded about the thought of service, right? Service to people.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and dad has been involved in local nonprofits all their lives, and all of my life, actually. I was born and raised into it.
Mm-hmm.
So we were always volunteering, whether it's a cleanup or some sort of event for the community. We're always showing up, and as young as 2, 3 years old, 4, 5, that's all my memory was of, like, helping the community in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my childhood. And when I got into chiropractic school and undergraduate school at the same time, I've always had this passion of wanting to help people.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how it was going to be,
Mm-hmm.
And by getting my care for chiropractic care, I was like, wow, this is a way to give back. I was trying to find out what that passion was, that calling within the calling.
Mm-hmm.
Before becoming a chiropractor, I was a musician, and I got my degree in music. And so I thought that was the thing for me, but really the calling was actually helping others. And that really connected back to my roots and allowed me to see a way back home so I can actually help people. And so I'm so stoked to be back here on Kauai. I've been home for about 8 years now. Crazy enough, I was just looking at the calendar, and I can't believe it's been 8 years. It really felt like I just moved back home a couple of years ago.
Wow.
But in these 8 years, we've been able to do all the things that we love, which is give back to people, do the things that we can, which is our skill set here at the chiropractic office.
Mm-hmm.
And then just get reacquainted with the community. After being gone for about 10 years, things change, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm back home, it's really awesome to be part of that change and helping our community be where we need to be so we can be all successful and happy and,
Amen.
and all the things,
Yeah, big time, bro. So like, what inspired you about music, and why did you want to go to school and get your degree in music?
Yeah, I got lucky. I had, again, 2 awesome brothers that played music. And at a very young age, we all just jam, back in the day when you had cassettes and you had to, like, hit rewind and then, like, listen back and like, oh, what did they play? And then hit rewind. That's how we taught ourselves music,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, like, had to rewind the thing, and like, so they were always like, oh, let's learn this song. And one played ukulele, one played guitar, and they're like, oh, we need a bass player. Addison, learn bass, and like learning how to play the bass. And they were just like all jamming and having a great time. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, music has been a part of my life from a very young age, and it's been always fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so naturally, after high school, the thing that I was doing all the time and felt natural to me was music. And so I decided to go to the Art Institute of Seattle and get my degree in engineering and try to help musicians get their music out. And did that for a couple of years in Seattle and had a wonderful time. I mean, at age 21, 22, I always say I was living like the best life up until I got those crazy migraines. I was like doing tours and hanging out with amazing, talented artists and like going to shows and doing all these amazing things, everything that like sounds super fun and great, which was, but you know, in the little back corner, I was like, oh man, I'm not really doing what I really want to do. And I didn't really know at the time, right? I didn't know I really wanted to help and serve and do the things that I'm doing now. Until the blessing in disguise, which is the migraines. You know, I started getting those migraines, getting headaches. And it got so bad that it was debilitating, and point to where I couldn't even work. I couldn't do the things that I was loving, which was music. And so I was stuck out of work for months, and up until I saw that chiropractor, I mean, it was like the worst thing ever. I got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't know if this is like worth living anymore. You know, like,
is that bad?
Like I was 21, and you like went from like on the top of the world, enjoying like doing all the things that you love, and then you just get hit by this thing that you just can't do any of it. None of it is and there's no joy in it. And then you go through all the process of trying to get that taken care of, and just everywhere you went was either a no or I don't know. Like, I can't help you. I don't know what's going on.
Wow.
Up until I saw a chiropractor, and that changed my life.
That's wow. So like, who was the one that told you to go to a chiropractor in the first place?
Yeah, funny enough, it was my my coworker at the music place. So it's pretty cool. We were just, you know, like I disappeared for like weeks. You're like, hey man, where are you? Are you okay? What's going on? You know, like checking up on me. Like, yeah, man, I'm just like getting a lot of headaches and a lot of pain. I can't really work, you know. And so he's like, oh man, go see my chiropractor. She'll help. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. I've never been to a chiropractor up until that moment, right? I was like, I've never been. I have like a head problem. I heard they like, you know, if you have back problems and it's sore, they crack it.
Right.
You know, so like, I have a head problem, so I don't think they're gonna crack my head, right? That's not a thing. Like, I don't know about that. So, you know, obviously I like ignored it, like most people, right? Like, it'd be fine. Let's just take medication, you know. I always joke, like, you know, when you read on the label, it says you can have 6 of these, right? 24-hour period. Otherwise, like, it will hurt your liver, or hurt your stomach. You know, you get some internal bleeding. Like, don't go more than 6. I was like, yeah, I remember when I would like have 6 tablets just waking up. Like, wake up, take that 6. I'm like, and then you're like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yep. So I can't take any more medication. You know, and then you go to all the doctors. You do the MRIs, you do the CAT scans, you do all the things, and there's like the same results, right? Like, no findings, you're fine. And it got to a point where basically the doctors were saying, hey man, you're making this all up. It's all in your head. And they didn't say it like that. They said like, hey, we can't find, everything's testing fine, you know, like you're fine. So, you know, maybe maybe go to this psychiatrist and see, you know, like maybe it's something that is just happening in your brain. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm feeling it all over here and all over here, and then I just can't move. Like, it's not something I'm making up. So yeah, I got lucky. My coworker sent me to her chiropractor. She specializes in something that I do too, which is the upper neck area, and she checked that out. Did all her testing, found that I had like a misalignment right at the top of my neck. The top bone of my neck was just slightly off. Not enough off to be like paralyzed, or not enough off to be like, you know, like not functioning, but enough off that it was interfering the nerves. And she was like, that could be the thing, you know, like I see this all the time. People go to all these doctors, try to figure out what's going on, and never find anything. And they don't check this area because it's just not an area that normally we check. And so we check it here as chiropractors. Care about the spine and the nervous system. And so she did a couple of tests, found out where, saw how it was misaligned, started doing adjustments. I didn't get relief until like the ending of care. It took like about 4 or 5 months, but I was committed. Because I tried everything else. The 2 options I got left was exploratory surgery or these like heavy narcotics, right? I'm like, I'm 22.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's gonna be like bad.
Yeah, horrible.
It's life-changing, like. And then the third option was like, just don't be alive, right? Just like, don't deal with it. Like, yeah. That's not options. Let's check out this chiropractic thing.
Hell yeah.
And so like 5 months in, I was like, holy smokes. Basically what happened was I just was going back to work, and I was like, wait, I'm at work. Like, what's going on? I get to do music again? And on my last appointment with the chiropractor, I was like, so wait, how does this work?
Yeah.
I got my life back.
Wow.
And I didn't even know what's going on. So I did her like, I went to one of her class, and she taught me basically what was happening. And I was like, wait, you do this every day? Like, this is your job, you know, like you're a chiropractor, people come in, they try stuff, it doesn't really work. This helps them with these things, and it works. Like, can I do this? And once I asked that question, it would lead into the rabbit hole of me trying to figure this thing out and get into this work. So here we
Wow.
are.
So how was the relief of it all? Like how, like as far as the relief, was it, so it must have been gradual instead of all of a sudden.
Yeah. That's what for me was the thing, right? Like it was so painful for so long. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that I got better, right? I was
Mm.
like, like I was stuck in this loop. And so the only thing that triggered me that I knew that I was better was that I was actually back at work. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, I'm listening to music right now and I don't get a raging migraine right now. Like, wait, normally I would get this, So
Yeah.
it took, like I said, I was under care for about 4 to 5 months until I started feeling better, but I didn't notice that I was better until I was at work.
That
Because
is
I already
dope.
accepted fate, right? I was like, I already accepted this is going to be part of my life for the rest of
Right.
my life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if I live at least to 80, that's 40 more years of this stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
40 more years. I don't know about this. Yeah.
Yo, bro, that's intense, man. So all of a sudden you just see like, man, I can do these things without the headaches. And then so do you go right into it? Do you start studying with her and have her as like a mentor, or do you just like, hey, I like look into, hey, how can I start going to school to become a chiropractor?
Yeah. So it's both, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
have a music degree and now I got to get this science medical degree, right?
Yeah.
They don't really add up, guys. Just anyone watching thinking about making a switch anywhere is like, oh yeah, man, you're short 90 credits just to start chiropractic. Like, yeah, man, you gotta take home chem, you gotta take all these things. And like, what is chemistry again? Like biology? Like biology was not a thing. I didn't even think about healthcare until I needed the help, right? And that's
Yeah.
people. And so, yeah, it was a journey. I was supposed to do 2 years of undergrad study,
Mm-hmm.
additional, to then go chiropractic school, but I kind of jumped into the hoop and just went all force. I took as many classes as I can and started in about a year and a half, I got back into chiropractic school. So it was a fun ride because, that's the one thing I always tell people, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not the most intelligent person. Definitely not the straight A student and never was. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, 3.2 like all day in high school,
Mm-hmm.
undergrad. Even though I love music, I still wasn't like that top ace guy.
Mm-hmm.
No, one thing that doesn't what I don't hold myself back onto is that when I'm passionate about something, I go in all in,
Oh
like
yeah.
all energy, whether or not I'm good at it, I just spend all my time in it, and
Yeah.
so that's what I did with chiropractic school. It's just I lived and breathed it for that 4 or 5 years that was there. And it really just soaked it all up and enjoyed every moment of being in school to get that skill so I could help people.
Wow. So with chiropractic care, not only did you become a practitioner, but you also became an entrepreneur. How was it getting down that part about entrepreneurship as well, with you now having to, you know, offer your services to people as well?
Yeah, because most people who are looking to open up as a chiropractor
Mm-hmm.
usually work for someone or you create your own business. And yeah, I was the type that about halfway through chiropractic school, I knew I couldn't work for anyone else. And a lot of it is because the way that I wanted to practice and the way that I wanted to take care of people,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't existent here on Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't existent in Hawaii. There was no upper cervical practitioner. There's no one that focused on the upper neck area.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I had to come back home and create a whole new thing.
Yeah.
So I got lucky and during school, I got together with my mentor now, which is Dr. Sean Dill, and he mentored me all throughout school because he was one of the professors there. And he taught all the, basically all our business classes that we get in chiropractic school. Not a lot, but enough to understand that there's a basis to it.
Yeah.
But like I just said, when I get passionate about something, I go all in. And so I was passionate about learning how to set up my own business and become an entrepreneur. And so he mentored me all the way through. And then I joined their team, the specific chiropractic centers, which is basically 16 offices across the United States.
Wow.
And we're just a giant team that works together to help each other. We're a franchise that really focus on taking care of our community. And so, right out of school, I started the specific chiropractic centers, Kauai, moved home and got this going.
Beautiful. So you bought into a franchise and then started one here.
Yeah. Correct.
Dang, bro, that is brilliant. Good job, man. So tell me like everything that you get within a franchise, because it seems like as though you already had a mentor, you already had a brand, you already had a system. So what else comes with this package of having a franchise?
Yeah, I mean, there's business systems that you get from it, right? Like how to set up your business as an LLC, as a corporation. What is the system as a affiliate in this space? But then there's practice systems too, right? Like how do you take care of a patient? How do you answer the phones? How do you help people understand what's going on? How do you reach your community? How do you market? How do you advertise? How do you have the conversations when people don't understand? All of these things. In a franchise, and not all franchises are the same, but in our franchise, we spend the time understanding these things so that we can work on it together, and then we customize it for our community. And so that's one of the benefits of being in a franchise, is that it's a proven model, a model that has worked, a model that is working, and the model that is willing to learn and grow, right? Otherwise, if you were on your own, which, during chiropractic too, I was always gung-ho on opening up my own office and doing everything my way. And as much as I was doing all that research and setting that up, I just realized that it was just aligning with everything that this franchise was doing.
Wow.
So everyone says the same thing about this, but don't reinvent the wheel, right? If there's systems in place, jump on it and get good. And it's all about creating efficiencies, right? It's about making sure that you maximize your skill set and maximize what you have versus, trying to create new things all the time. And so that was a big step for me, because it allowed me to, readjust the vision and say, hey, the vision aligns with another vision. So let's just, jump on board instead of trying to recreate something.
Amen. Wow. That's amazing. What have been some of the most beneficial lessons that you learned within entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Okay. For entrepreneurship, I guess the biggest lessons I've learned is that you're always solving a problem, right? And it's a problem for someone. So the first thing you can do for yourself and then for others is learn how to care, right? That's probably the biggest thing. Whatever, entrepreneurship you're looking into, whether it's a service or a product, it doesn't really matter. Like generally, it always starts with solving a problem, and it's usually with people, or how it affects people, right? So that's one of the things that I get out of being in this team, is that we learn how to care for people on all levels, right? Not just as a chiropractor taking care of a patient with all these things that I got to follow and make sure that I'm doing all the necessary diagnostics and all of that stuff, but then just like caring as a business person, like what are my fees and why does this matter to my community and how I'm going to communicate this with them. And so I can make sure that I'm taking care of this person, but also being able to take care of myself so we can give more.
Yes.
Because everything is coming out of the abundance, right? And so our goal is to create abundance for ourselves, at the same time, making sure that it's a win-win for our situation, for our community, right?
Yeah.
Where as much as they pour into us, we pour as much into them. So
amen.
Yeah, that's one of probably the biggest things that I've learned.
The caring part, part, and also like the abundance mindset.
Yeah.
What was one of the difficulties that you had to overcome when you first got into entrepreneurship?
I wasn't sure that what I was creating is what the community wanted, right? Because coming back home, I was bringing a new service, right? Upper cervical chiropractic care. No one's doing it here. It's totally brand new. To do market research on something that doesn't already exist in the space is hard. So I just didn't know, right? And that was probably the hardest part, was doing that footwork in the beginning and asking those questions and reaching out to the community and trying to figure out what the needs are, so that whatever I'm creating is not something that is not necessary to the community. It has to be something that's worthwhile to them. And so that was probably the hardest part, because it's very vulnerable, right? You got to go and talk to your grandma, talk to your mom, talk to your aunties, and talk to your friends, and then talk to strangers. That's probably the hardest part. Before becoming a chiropractor and even during high school and in undergrad, I wasn't like the super outgoing guy. I wasn't the guy that just goes out and talk to people randomly. And so the whole process of like being open and communicating and asking questions and like putting myself in vulnerable situations where I ask these interesting questions weren't my style, and I had to learn that. And so that was probably the next biggest thing, was just learning some of the things that I'm not good at that isn't going to help the community, and that I got to learn so I can be better at helping out the community with what they need, you know? So that was fun.
That was fun.
That's where Toastmasters come in, and where you and I got connected.
Yeah, hell
Toastmasters, man. Toastmasters International.
Hell yeah. Shout out to the Toastmasters. They in fact, this week or on Tuesday, they're hosting a competition. They just asked me to judge the state competition in March. So, you know, I'm still involved, still doing
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I mean, I was in Toastmasters since graduate school, so it's been like now 12 years. And I knew, because, you know, here on Kauai, I'm born and raised here, and I'm like pidgin English strong, like game is high there. Moving away, it was still high, and I just knew like, oh man, people can't understand what I'm saying sometimes. So I gotta learn how to speak so that they can understand, and be able to speak in groups and speak in rooms of people, you know, like multiples of people. I'm used to one-on-one, but one-to-many is a whole different experience. And so, Toastmasters International was a big thing for me.
Wow. So you overcame that by putting yourself in a club or a situation where you had to kind of flex that muscle and become stronger at talking to others. Like, how did you spread this diverse, unique premise and concept and care to the community?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing for us was understanding the need first. Understanding and communicating the need is like, are there people having migraine headaches here? Are people having chronic neck pain? And then understanding like, what are you doing for that? Like, what kind of treatment are you trying to use? You know, what is the solutions that you get? And then understanding like, okay, does this service help that? And so I had to fill in all those blanks, right? So I filled in the blank for me. Yeah, I got care and it helped me. And doing my care at the graduate school and taking care of people, I know it helped people. So we understood that piece. And then the next piece was then how do you communicate that? And that's where Toastmasters came, you know, like that's where doing these talks and communicating with people and teaching people about the work, and then just being honest and showing how the work works and doing the work is what grew the practice, you know. So a lot of it was just word of mouth and getting results. But then a lot of it also was going out there and being uncomfortable and just having the conversation. Because the reality also too in Hawaii, it's not common to be just like sitting around and be like, hey, so how's your migraines? You know, you just don't talk about that, you know? Like, talk about the surf, you talk about the weather, you talk about family, but then you're not like, we don't go in that route. And it's just like a customary thing, because to respect people's privacy and respect people's spaces. And so sometimes you don't know if someone's suffering or having all these challenges. And so I had to break that norm and just being okay with being vulnerable with people and say, it's okay to talk about this stuff and have a safe place. And that's how really in the beginning of my practice was what we did. We opened up our office, and probably the most important marketing thing that we did as an entrepreneur was to look at my office more than just a place where people get chiropractic care. Look at a place where people can get information and learn. So we used to do these things. I probably should bring this back so people can keep learning. But we would just open like every Wednesdays at 6:30. People could come in and just ask any question.
Wow.
Just come on in and ask any questions. You have questions about how does this work? Who does it help? You know, like what is the dangers of chiropractic care? That was always fun. Yeah, I get those sometimes. Like, oh yeah, I heard my friend blah blah blah. Like, is that what you do? Or is that like, can that happen to me? You know, just being a safe place to have these conversations. And so I think that really was a big piece of what made this place happen, you know, like made this place come what it is.
Wow, man. You know, just hearing your story now just makes me have so much more respect for you and shows me how courageous you truly are, bro. I mean, you've always been an outspoken guy that I've respected, to where you really are willing to be vulnerable and not give a damn. But this really shows me that you've taken it to another level with the way that you care about your community, and also like just the way that you've grown and built this franchise to now not only being on Kauai but being in Maui as well, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, bro. Good talk. So now it just gives me that much more honor to be a blessing to you right here on the Drop Your Baggage podcast. Because right here we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. And that technique is the mental and emotional release process. It's an NLP technique. You've done plenty of NLP and release work before, yes. So it's just something that you can add to the repertoire of work that you've done. And I'm going to talk to the audience real quick. If you have anything that you have been suffering with, or if you have anything that is on your mind and you have any type of negative conversation in your head, go to charleswoolfork.com. If you feel like you are getting in your own way and that you are self-sabotaging yourself and you are just preventing yourself from having the success and truly reaching your potential, please go to charleswoolfork.com. And if you feel like there is something heavy that's weighing on you and that you just want some type of relief from all those years that you have been carrying it around, please go to charleswoolfork.com. There's a form on the front page, on the first page that you get to. Go ahead and fill that out and go ahead and make an appointment with me today. You schedule your own appointment and you can schedule your appointment with me today. Now, with you, Addison, I am not a doctor. I am not a chiropractor. I'm not a social worker, none of that stuff. I am an alternative to all those amazing things to give you a different perspective upon your mind, or to help you shift your mindset. Now, today we are going to be getting rid of a limiting belief. Yes. Now we're going to be getting rid of the limiting belief that I'm not good enough. And you said you experience that sometimes and have a negative conversation within your mind. So can you tell me a little bit about how that affects you?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes what happens with me when I'm looking at, just trying either a new thing or trying to adapt the business or, trying to help someone or help myself, I oftentimes get this kind of negative self-talk that I can catch. But also oftentimes I just don't, and so, and I feel like it's one of those things that kind of hold me back from making decisions, big or small. It doesn't have to necessarily be always a big thing. But then it kind of denies my opportunity to be part of these amazing things. And a lot of it is just missed opportunity, really. And so, it's one of those things that, as I start, not as I start, but, as I keep growing, that's one of the things I want to keep breaking through, because it's not something that I completely have figured out. Like, I've made incremental steps throughout my life, and it made a lot of difference to work on these things. And self-improvement is one of the things I care about a lot. And spend as much time as I can. So that's why I'm super stoked to be here with you and have this opportunity and to be invited, because I'd love to just take it to one more level where it just allows me to be more me and allow me to help more people,
Oh yeah, definitely about to do that. Now, a few more questions. So like, how does it show up? You said you kind of, is it procrastination, or is it like you kind of do analysis paralysis? How does it show up specifically?
Yeah, specifically for me, it oftentimes shows up as like, it's more paralysis by analysis. It's not necessarily like me stop talking to people or like ghosting people or that kind of stuff. It's just I just overanalyze. I don't know if people get into a point where that happens to them, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty common thing.
You're looking at a guy that definitely does.
Oftentimes, like, there's moments when I break through those things, but like my mentor would say, hey, make this change, this will definitely help. And then I get stuck, and it can be procrastination, right? It could be like, wow, this is a great opportunity. Yeah, I told this to you 9 months ago. Like 2 years ago. Like, having this conversation with you like 5 times, what's the roadblock here?
Yeah.
And it's not even a roadblock that I can see, right? Or I can feel. Often it's just a block in my system, subconscious, and it's just telling me no. I'm like, is this a gut reaction, or is this just a limiting belief? And I think that's a really important one to try to figure out. As it's super important to honor your gut reaction and see what's going on and really feel from the soul in that sense. And at the same time, you have to figure out and really understand, is that a gut reaction, or is this like a limiting belief that was created in your mind by some experience, and that's one of the hardest parts to navigate. It's like, as you get more in tune with your body, sometimes you get to know. Most times you don't know. That's a gut reaction. It's pure, it's clean, that I should make these decisions based on this, or it's just me figuring out like, oh, I'm just sabotaging my opportunity here.
Real talk. Let's get into a figurative type of way, or a figurative type of talk. How many people do you think that you haven't been able to impact because of that negative self-talk? Yeah.
Oh man, if you're putting numbers, I mean probably missed opportunity like at least 20% of my time. Like so every 2 out of 10 people I talk to, maybe.
Oh wow.
If we would, like if we wanted to like really pinpoint, it's
Yeah.
just not that much what people would think. 2 out of 10, man, 8 out of 10, you pulling the trigger, nah. But that's also in my perspective, that's two people we didn't help.
Exactly.
That's two people we didn't help. And that could have been the thing that transformed their lives, right? Like if my life was transformed, because my chiropractor didn't, hesitate on pulling the trigger on me and helping me.
Yeah.
Like imagine that two people that walked away today that I didn't get to help. Like what kind of life are they living because I didn't break through that limiting belief because I self-sabotage myself,
Yeah, real talk. And if you were to put that in a number, like financially, how much do you think you left on the table due to that?
Yeah, I mean, millions now, right?
Oh, shoot.
8 years into business times 2 every day, right? So that's 365 days times 10. So that's a lot of years, 3,650 times 2. At least 10,000 people, almost. Yeah, it's about 8,000,
That was impressive. What you just did with all those numbers. Yes.
Yeah, so if it's 8,000 people and, at any given moment, those 8,000 people, if it was just chiropractic care, that's $2,500 left per person. And then you do that over 10 years, that's easily a few million.
Yeah. Real talk. Wow. Yeah. So let's go ahead.
It's exponential too, right? Like that's just helping the people. Like, we do a lot of charity work. We do a lot of, when we make this money, we give back. So the number multiplies, right? So if it's say it's $2 million just on revenue, but $1 million is towards giving to nonprofits. Now that's $1 million worth of things that affect people. And usually nonprofits match that $1 million. So that really is just $2 million now. So it just starts adding, and the compounding effect of what's going on,
Wow, real talk. Wow. And then that's not also talking about the referrals that those 8 million can also like have for you as well.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get rid of that limiting belief. You know what I mean? Also, let's do the mind-body connection. When you think about that limiting belief that I'm not good enough, where do you feel it in your body?
Yeah, man, I feel like right in this area.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is it?
It's like a 5 out of 10. Right?
Gotcha. All right, let's go ahead and let's get rid of that limiting belief. So all you got to do are 3 things. Number 1, you got to use your imagination. Number 2, you got to follow directions, just like you follow a Google Maps or a recipe. And number 3, you got to trust the process. Know that I'm your guide and I'll be leading you through this easily and effortlessly. And I come from a place of love and high vibration.
Right.
Now, there's 2 more things I want you to know about this. Number 1, we'll be visiting different events in your life and observing different events in your life. For every single event, it is a trigger that you are getting rid of. It's a negative conversation that you are silencing. It's a major breakthrough. It's like a Tony Robbins weekend that you can have in like minutes. So I want you to visit as many events as possible and release as many triggers as possible and have as many breakthroughs as possible within that time in which you're reviewing and observing your events in your life. Okay. And the second one is the most impactful and prophetic healing that you can have is when you look from other people's perspective. So throughout this whole exercise, I want you to make sure that you don't just see from your perspective, but also have empathy and compassion for everyone in each and every event. All right, let's get it. So is it all right with your unconscious mind for you to release this limiting belief that I'm not good enough today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yeah.
What is the root cause of this problem? The first event, which when disconnected, that will cause this problem to disappear. If you were to know, when was the first time that you felt as though I'm not good enough when you were just a little kid?
Yeah, I mean, I really think it's that one time. Yeah, so there's this one time I was a kid. Man, it has like that mixed feelings, right? It's like, it was my birthday. Woo, awesome birthday. Got this awesome gift, right, from my family, my dad and my mom. We got this RC car, which was like, like back in the day, money was not we didn't have a lot of them. So when we got gifts, gifts were like, whoa. And an RC car is expensive. I mean, I don't know how old it was. Like, gotta be like 8 or 9-ish. Like first, second grade, third grade, maybe. Yeah, I got an RC car for my birthday. So stoked. I've always wanted one. Everybody had theirs. Like I was the only kid that didn't have one. Like, oh, cool, finally got one. on my birthday, took it out, charged the battery, and took it out, and I just remembered I just had to go, and I was like, oh, so cool, and like I was riding on the street, and the car just runs it over, like destroys it. Oh, it's the worst feeling. I can feel it, like all those feelings, like, oh man, like good but bad, man. Good, happy birthday, but no, man. Yeah, I remember that. That was terrible.
Yeah.
I remember crying, bringing that thing in the house, and just remember my dad just like being pissed, like super pissed. Like, it's like, man, what are you doing? You know, like, do you not care? Like I'm like, oh shoot. And at that moment, I was like, oh man, like I don't deserve stuff like this. You know, like I don't. Yeah, I'm like, I don't deserve this stuff. Like I can't even take care of these things. You know, like you know what I mean? Like, I remember, that would be like a big one. That would be, if you're, that's the first thing that came top of my mind. It's like the one thing that's super clear for me. Like
let's get it. That's the one. That's the one. Well, let's go ahead and visit that one so we can release that from you.
Okay.
All right. So with that, you can go ahead and close your eyes and relax and let me know when you're ready for the process. All right. Now, just imagine floating outside of your body as if though you were a spirit or energy. And just imagine seeing yourself right here, right now, in this very moment from a third person point of view, like a fly on the wall. See the window and the files to your right, the bamboo shade behind you, your fiance around you, talking somewhere, your pink shirt, the screen in front of you. Let me know when you can see yourself from a third person point of view. Awesome. Now, just imagine floating above yourself, and we're going to go ahead and create a timeline. Now, with your timeline, your past can be to your left, to your right, or behind you. If you were to know, where's your past?
It passes to the left.
Where's your future?
To the right.
Perfect. So just imagine floating up above your timeline and floating to the left. Float to the left into the past and float deeper and deeper and deeper into the past, above that first time that you felt as though I'm not good enough when you were just a little kid. Just see that event like a fly on the wall. Be the observer of that event. Don't go down into it. Just observe it from a third person point of view. Let me know when you can see the event. Awesome. Now stay high above the event. And as you're there, just ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. Just tell your unconscious mind to preserve the learnings. This is an exercise of forgiveness and acceptance. Forgiveness for yourself and others, and acceptance of yourself and others. Who do you have to forgive? What do you have to accept? Who do you have to accept? Be sure to see this from everybody's perspective inside the event, the people driving the car and your father and yourself, and have empathy and compassion for everyone. And as you do that, focus your attention upon how hurt people hurt people. We're all doing the best that we can with the resources and consciousness that we have. We can't control anyone else's actions, but we can control our response. We can grow stronger and wiser and learn from other people's actions and mistakes. Other people's actions have nothing to do with you. It's only a reflection of their baggage and whatever they're going through at the time. And we're better people than we were when those events occurred. You're a better person than you were when those events occurred. What is something positive and empowering you can tell yourself as that little kid and your father and that person driving the car and everyone else involved in the event, with the consciousness that you have today that will allow the emotions to evaporate like water on the concrete on a hot summer day? And as you preserve these learnings, the emotions are starting to dissipate more and more until they're all gone. Just let me know when they're all gone. Take your time. And as you're floating above that little boy, seeing him like a fly on the wall from a third person point of view, just ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. Just tell your unconscious mind to preserve the learnings. This is an exercise of forgiveness and acceptance. Forgiveness for yourself and others, and acceptance of yourself and others. Who do you have to forgive? What do you have to accept? Who do you have to accept? Focus your attention upon how hurt people hurt people. We're all doing the best that we can with the resources and consciousness that we have. We can't control anyone else's actions, but we can control our response. We can grow stronger and wiser and learn from other people's actions and mistakes. Other people's actions have nothing to do with you. It's only a reflection of their baggage and whatever they're going through at the time. And we're better people than we were when those events occurred. You're a better person than you were when those events occurred. That's right. What is something positive and empowering you can tell yourself as that little kid and everyone else involved in the event, with the consciousness that you have today that will allow the emotions to evaporate like water on the concrete on a hot summer day? And as you preserve these learnings, the emotions are starting to dissipate more and more until they're all gone. Just let me know when they're all gone. That's right.
Oh God.
Awesome. Now, with you observing the event, tell me, what did you learn from the event?
And I just need to be a little bit more careful. Just take care of my things, take care of people. There's nothing to hold against people. Forgiving and letting people know that you love them is important. In those moments.
That's right.
Not like the most important things in those moments is not the moment itself, like the thing, but just like the relationship.
That's right. Now, keep your eyes closed and tell me, what did you have to tell your father?
So yeah, I thought it was sorry first, and it wasn't. It wasn't what he wanted to hear, or what we needed to hear. It was when I said I love you, then everything just released, like melted, like everything was right in the world. Everything was alive.
That's right. Now, tell me, what is something that you can take from that event into the future with you to make you a better person?
Stopping and hearing people out. I just remember a little boy me was just crying and saying sorry, and I wasn't listening. So it's like I could just stop and just listen and understand what people are feeling versus like just projecting what I.
Very good.
He was just caring. He was just caring. Was caring about me and making sure I was safe.
Yeah, very good. Now, just imagine floating up above your timeline and floating to the left, float to the left into the past, and float deeper and deeper and deeper into the past, above the dinosaurs during the prehistoric age. Let me know when you're above the dinosaurs. Okay. Now, as you're above the dinosaurs, just imagine floating into space. Float deeper and deeper and deeper into space to where space and the atmosphere connects. And imagine your timeline is the size of a fingernail. Let me know when you're there. Okay, now just imagine floating there in space, weightless, and ask yourself now, where are the emotions? Tell me, are they there or have they disappeared? Now, awesome. Now, just imagine floating down inside the event. Seeing through your own eyes as a little kid and check on the emotions. Tell me, are they there or have they disappeared? Now, awesome. Float back above the dinosaurs and then float into space to where space and the atmosphere connects. Let me know when you're there. Awesome. Listen closely. Float very, very high above your timeline, above each and every event in which you felt as though I'm not good enough, from birth until now, in chronological order. Don't skip one event that has a charge on it. Preserve the learnings and let go of the limiting belief that I'm not good enough, all the way back to now. Go. As you preserve these learnings, the emotions are starting to dissipate more and more until they're all gone. Just let me know when they're all gone. Awesome. Flow down into your body and open your eyes when you're ready. That's right. Welcome back.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you. That was fun, huh?
Oh man, should do that every day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you like that, huh? Yeah.
Oh, it's like a new body.
You just drop some baggage, huh?
Oh yeah, man. Feel a little bit taller. Let me adjust it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people have not done this as of yet in the audience. So please describe how you feel and everything that we just went through.
Yeah, that was very powerful. I'm trying to remember when I've done this like this. It's been a while, so it feels enlightening. It feels grounding. Feels like I don't know if people feel this. Like I felt like after doing all that, like oh man, I my body again. Like my body and is all parts of my soul. Like all the things that I love about myself or appreciate about myself. Like I feel connected to it. Like oh yeah, all those good things. Like oh man, okay, I know this guy. I know. There's newness to it, but there's a recognition of it. Like oh, that's where like a lot of good things happen from. Like, a lot of good things in my life happen from. So yeah, it feels really good.
Good. What were some of the epiphanies that you found that you really needed to remember that helped you release?
Love and appreciation is something powerful internal drive. It's like an internal, that just exists in me. And that's like, I forgot how good I was at that. for myself. Like I don't practice that enough. I'm like, oh man, I didn't realize that was a powerful way to help release these things,
Yeah, real talk. So it's an appreciation that you have for others, but also that you have for yourself as well.
Yeah. When you're in this route of wanting to help people and say you don't help someone or blah, 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 put that weight on you. And
Yeah.
then that thing right there, like not good enough. Like it just adds up. And like whoa, time out. There's a thing here that's like really good in here, and that's then it's an acknowledgement and
Yes.
the affirmation and like lighting a fire again.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. How is that feeling in your chest now?
Yeah, it's not there.
Mm.
It doesn't feel tight, doesn't feel heavy, doesn't feel dark.
Yeah.
Like it feels like openness and airy and playful.
Love it.
Very playful.
I love it. I love that you've done this work so much also because you can give words behind it. You can actually describe how you feel, because a lot of people have not done the work, so therefore they can't explain it. They just feel open. They feel free. They feel liberated. But you just, you're
like color. It's like a bunch of colors. Like I don't know how to describe. When you play with this in yourself, right, you get to get different experiences, and this is like a lot of colors, like so pretty.
I love it.
Like when you hear like a really amazing jazz song and you're like, "Ooh, it's like touching every part of your body." Like
that, I love it. Hey.
I can hear music, but there's no music playing.
Speaking of music playing and not hearing things, how's that negative conversation in your head, or how is the conversation in your head now?
It's not there. I mean, it's I know it's there in the sense of like I know I've had these talks with myself. And it's just it's not heavy around it. It's I can have these conversations with myself. It's not like it's like stay away from me, don't talk to me. Let's hide this. There's no hiding right now.
I love it. So let's test it out. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you smell biscuits?
Biscuits? No, I don't smell
biscuits. Yeah, no
biscuits?
Worries. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah. No biscuits. I asked that to get your mind off the meditation. No, right? You get to take a good whiff when you think of
like KFC biscuits. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny.
Can you remember a time in the past in which you used to feel that old emotion, and go back and notice if you could feel that old emotion, or you may find that you cannot?
I don't feel it in me. I recognize it.
Yeah.
I see it in the world. Yeah. But I don't feel it inside right now.
Very good. That's exactly what it's supposed to do.
Like I can see it in the world. Like I can see that energy and that understanding. I just don't feel it in me. That's like research in the past out there, right? I mean, I know that what we just did, but there's the feeling is not there. Oh, yeah, trippy.
That is the whole purpose of this.
I was just like feeling it deeply earlier. I was like, no, man, it's like 20 minutes ago. I was feeling that deep.
Like to where you like the feelings were coming up again. You're like, yo.
Totally. Yeah. I was like, I might cry.
Yeah.
I'm like when I was trying to feel that, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that story.
Yeah. But now, what's the interpretation of the story now? Like, or what is it?
Memory. It's a good memory. It's a memory where it's like, oh, I learned a lot, like from that moment. It's like, oh man, I love you. And like that those 3 words, like, oh, and I can hear you. I know what you're feeling,
Damn.
Powerful.
That's good. Yeah. That's good stuff. Yeah. Now I want you to imagine going out into the future, to an unspecified time in the future, in which if the same thing would have happened in the past, you would have felt as though I'm not good enough, or you would have been triggered, analysis paralysis, all those other things. And see if you can find that old emotion, or you may find that you cannot. Okay.
Oh, it's trippy. I can see it. Not in me again. It's like I can see it in people. I'm like, oh, I need to talk to you.
Congratulations. You just released a limiting belief, and you are officially a baggage dropper.
Oh, snap. Cool.
Hey. I said check. Very good, man.
Thank you so much.
Of course, man. Thank you.
Wow, that was very simple. A simple process. Very powerful.
Thank you. Yeah. I love this because, and I want to get this more and more out to the community, more and more, because like you said earlier, people don't want to talk about their stuff. You know what I mean? And with this process, you don't necessarily have to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you went to some events that I have no idea what you went to, and you released it without talking about it. So even like everybody from the mechanic down the street to the chiropractor up the street can do this process and feel comfortable doing it because it's not telling you to relive things or to talk about the skeletons in your closet.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. It's insanely simple, efficient. Maybe that's a better word. Efficient.
Very efficient.
Yeah, I like this.
Awesome, man.
It's fun.
That's awesome.
People are listening to this and they're like, "That sounds weird." Yeah, it is weird. It's great.
I love it.
You're afraid that's probably a good thing because it's like, oh, there's another place that you can go that will release you. Yeah.
And just think you can do this for any negative emotion like anger, sadness, fear, hurt and disappointment, guilt, shame, jealousy. You can also do this for any limiting belief that you have around yourself, around money, around success, around love, like anything and everything that you have within you that is holding you back, you can release it like that.
Yeah, because it was created by you. So it's just not accessing that point to say, do I accept that in my life or not? Like the whole acceptance and forgiveness. Like, yeah, I'm like, okay, in this moment, I'm going to let this go.
Oof.
Yeah. Why am I holding this anymore? Like that was a choice, and I can just unchoice it. Why am I holding this here?
Yeah. And once you shift your perspective, it's kind of like the old way you think of Santa Claus. Once you shift your perspective upon Santa Claus and see that he's not real anymore, you can't go back to the old way of looking at him.
Yeah, totally.
So now you can't go back to the old way of thinking about those old events anymore.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, Addison, thank you so much for showing up for your divine appointment and coming on to the Drop Your Baggage podcast. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course, man. Where can everybody find you online and everywhere?
AddisonBulosan.com. You'll find most of the things there, I think, and it just goes to all the offices and all those things. So yeah.
Amen. All right. And once again, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you all for listening and your attention and your support, and I love you all so much. And if you are still here right now, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button so that YouTube and Facebook and all the algorithms can do what they do. And if you're on a podcast platform, give a brother 5 stars and some feedback as well. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Drop Your Baggage podcast, where we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. I'm your host, the self-talk engineer, Charles Woolfork, and with my special guest, Dr. Addison Bulosan. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself and take care of one another. Peace.